What is up, everybody? Danmachi is back. Yes, season 4, part 2 is here, and I am 3 episodes in? Yes, I think 3 episodes. And my gosh, it's like we were really upset about the fact that we left with a really bad cliffhanger last year, and this series comes back, and that didn't change. Just like every single episode is another cliffhanger, but gosh, I meant to make an episode last week because honestly, it left on a really bad note with Haruhime being harmed. We had Mikoto was in a bad position. It just seemed like they were possibly killing off characters. I don't believe it anymore. Let me be perfectly honest. I don't believe any of these waifus are ever going to die now. Again, like I've said before, we have the addition now of the fairy in the bottle, and thus anything that happens in the show, I'm not going to believe it until, I don't know, 5 seasons later. But no, this second part of season 4 has been really nonstop crazy. And now, I still hate the CGI dragon Hydra thing. That was just bad. Thankfully, it's gone now, but that was probably the only rough spot. But I do believe that like the action and everything around the characters and the animation of them rushing in and stuff looked great. I mean, Aisha, there was so many fantastic shots of Aisha just rushing through all these really crazy, again, half CGI stuff. But there's 2 sections of this part that I'm already absolutely in love with. 3 parts, actually. The first part is around Belle. The deep floor stuff is just being done so well. Like, it just feels like Belle is in a really bad spot. And even though he has like the guidance of Ryu, she's unable to really assist him physically anymore. She's able to give him information, and I love how he had to kind of push her, look, we got to do this. But it's really nailing the dread of this place. Like, this place does not feel like a good spot. Granted, the first part of it is really around Belle and the fact that he is kind of terrified that he's stuck there. And yes, the fact that this juggernaut is still after him. Thankfully, he's able to put some space between them. Now, I do question the fact that how does knocking down this debris in front of this juggernaut going to stop it? This thing literally burrowed through the wall to get to them. It burrowed through the freaking labyrinth to get to where they were at. How is putting down debris in front of it going to stop it? But that aside, like even with the juggernaut out of the way, like just the standard mobs in this area is absolutely destroying Belle. These skull sheeps. Every time these skull sheep shows up, it's like, holy crap, I'm going to die again. He's just barely getting through with the skin of his teeth, and then more show up. And it's like, the dread they're pulling off with that is fantastic. Even Belle himself is struggling with, am I going to survive this? I'm never going to make it out of your life. Despair is feeling his heart. And this is honestly the first time we really got a sense of that. I mean, yes, Belle has been through crazy stuff. I mean, the very first episode, he's about to get killed by this Minotaurus. But this is the first time I really feel like Belle himself mentally, outside of the moment of battle, he feels absolute despair. He's giving up. And he's always been the Genki overpowered main character, I'm going to fight and be stronger kind of character. This is the first time I really feel like he's being challenged. Anytime before, it's always like he pulls off some crazy stunt and he makes it through. He's still the main character in the end. He's got that plot armor. But here, yes, even though he still has plot armor, because he's the main character, it feels like he is at a loss. And it feels like I think that's going to be pushing him to have some significant growth in his character. Which, honestly, yes, for this entire 4th season, that's kind of the sense I've been getting. He's trying to push other people before him so they don't rely on him, and thus they're in danger. And like in return, he has to do the same thing for Ryu. Ryu's giving up. Leave me behind. He's like, I can't. Like, He gives up the excuse that, look, I can't make it. If I leave you behind, I'll never make it out of here. I need your help. As a way of almost encouraging her to not give up. Yeah, Ryo's been pretty heartbreaking at the same time. I mean, I'm just like, this girl is just done. Like, she's completely wrecked. All she can think about is, okay, well, I can't die yet. I need to get him to at least the tunnel to get to the 26th floor, and then he'll be fine. As long as I can get him there. And again, even then, she's still basically saying, I'm done then. Like, I can get him there, and then I'll just pass out, and I'll just give up. But yes, that's number 2. The number 2 exciting thing about this whole season so far is long hair Ryu. We get to see long hair Ryu. That's all I care about. I see her in the OP, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Ryu with long hair. She looks gorgeous. Why has she had to cut her hair? She looks so much better with the long hair. But yeah, we're getting into at least the backstory of Ryu, and obviously what she essentially lost. We keep hearing about the fact that 5 years ago, she used to be part of the Austria familia, and she lost it at some point. This guy they tricked her and got her entire party killed by the Juggernaut, but we've never seen her party. Now, you can kind of say that's a miss, because it would have been more impactful to see what she's going through if we knew the Familia, but now we're going to see that Familia. We're going to see finally what she lost, what it meant to her, which, yes, so far it's just Elise. We're going to take our dear sweet time. Like, I thought this episode was going to be nothing but the backstory, but no, it's like, here's Elise, and she's yelling at her for not paying attention because she's having a dream. But I don't know. We'll see if it's a good story. Like I said, we're kind of already past it. So I'm really curious as what kind of story they're going to tell about that Familia that's going to be worth it, because we already kind of know the story. We just haven't seen it. So is there going to be something else there? Maybe through her seeing these dreams of her past, she's going to get that re-spark of wanting to live on. Which gets us into the third really great thing about this season so far, this part. And it's kind of a two-part. And the idea that finally, and I made a criticism about this in the first part of season 4. I made a criticism that it's always, in the end, Belle. Even though we had this great grandstanding moment where Lily and everybody stood up against the odds. They were going to die, and they all stood up and said, we're not going to give up. It still ends with Belle saving everybody. It's always Belle comes in, because it makes you feel like these characters are useless. What's the point in having this big cast when all they do is just get in danger and Belle shows up? And it almost feels like they heard me. Granted, this is wrote a long time ago, so I know it's a joke. It's almost like it hears me in the idea of like, don't worry. We did that because we wanted to remind you about this trope so that we can shatter it here. And that's in the fact that finally, they didn't wait for Belle to save them from the Hydra. They defeated it. Despite Cassandra's annoying despair crap, they beat the Hydra. And it was great. And it wasn't an easy win. It was a very, very long and very difficult battle. Mixed in there, having these struggles the characters are having, some giving up here, but then regaining their strength. This one giving up, then they regain their strength. There's the ups and downs of each one of these characters slowly discovering what they can add to the battle. Lily, she's panicking, but then she wakes up. Starts commanding people. Aisha trying to push people forward. Constantly everybody believing this is the end, but then all realizing together, well, we might as well fight. Like we can't escape. We might as well fight. And like I said, it was a really great battle despite the CGI Hydra thing, which I thought was roof. The rest of it was fantastic. The rest of the animation around the characters was really great. Seeing each one of them with their own strengths doing some really incredible stuff. And I think it pulled that off really well. Each one of them felt like they added something to the fight. Except for Cassandra. I thank you. Finally, we had a scene where Daphne legit says, wake up and do your damn job. Like, Cassandra's just sitting there whining, and Daphne's like, dude, we're all fighting here. Get off your butt and stop whining and actually do your healing job. That's what you're supposed to do. People are dying, and you're too busy worrying about people dying. No wonder you believe your vision's gonna come true. You're literally letting it happen. That's why we're all going to die, is because you're sitting there whining. It was so frustrating. I still, like, I was saying this at the first part. I'm saying it again with the second part. I cannot stand Cassandra. She's the trope. I see a vision and it has to come true. And I'm going to keep talking about that vision until it comes true. And then it's going to come true. And I'm going to say, I told you all it's true. I can't stand it. I cannot stand her character. It's a dumb trope. It's the whole, this is going to happen, but then it doesn't because they overcame it. Now, granted, with the third episode of the second part, they've sort of twisted it in a way. Like, the writer has finally decided to twist it after so long of me getting sick of her. They're twisting it in a way that she believes it's true, but it's not the idea that she was told about it, that it's going to happen a certain way. I think the way she put it is essentially that she thought it was a person, but it's actually a location. They need to head east to get to safety, basically. So she's now using the vision to guide them rather than using the vision to see what's the inevitable. So it is a nice character growth for Cassandra in the idea that she's no longer seeing it as this despair. She's now using it as a tool that she can manipulate. Now, I still don't know why that's the case. I honestly don't understand what's going through Cassandra's head to believe that, well, do this and we can go to safety. When in fact, before she was saying literally you can't avoid it. Doesn't make any sense. It did save them. So credit to her. I just don't know. It didn't really well explain how she came to that conclusion. How she suddenly decided I can overcome this. When for the last Let's be honest. I don't know, 12 episodes she's been saying you can't. No, continuing on my whole thing about the third thing that's making this part so great so far is that the fact that they all stood up and they beat this thing. They didn't need Bell. It's starting to sort of build up this idea that we will finally have other characters besides Eyes in the very first season. These characters are going to possibly help Bell. Bell is not going to be the only one that pulls everything off. It almost feels like they're trying to build up that this group's going down there to help Bell. You're having a lot of people on the surface that are talking about coming down there to help Bell. Hestia is seeking out help. Naza is seeking out Tsubaki. It seems like all these groups are kind of building up parties to go down there and help Bell. It was seemingly based on the idea they knew that Ryu had fled to there, but it seems like they're actually kind of building a group to go down there. Yes, technically Oranos and Fells knows that the Juggernaut's on the move, that something really terrible is going on down there, and again, it might actually turn into a case where we might actually have so many other parties taking part in this to help Bell for once. And I like that. I like to see these other characters actually pull something off and be the ones to rescue the main character rather than the reverse. I think one thing that I was a little bit curious about is I don't think it actually explained why Haruhime was not affected by the flames. Again, I didn't expect anything to happen to Haruhime. Again, she's a waifu character. They're all going to live. But it did kind of make me wonder, like, was there something explained in the light novel as to why the flames didn't necessarily harm her? I mean, she did say it was burning, but she didn't show any sign of damage. She kind of was standing in the flames, threw off her cloak, and said, all right, working here. But yeah, through and through. Fantastic season so far. Cannot wait for more. Sorry for those that were waiting for my videos on this series. I actually got a message again the other day. It was like, where's your videos on Danmachi? I'm like, I'm working on other stuff. I'm still watching it though. And I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see where it goes from here. Possibly could become a weekly video session. I will see if it can keep having new content in there that I'm really excited to talk about. Hopefully things around Ryu is really interesting. I would love to discuss that kind of stuff, but we'll see. Typically, like right now, especially with this segment, it's a lot to do with just the gut punches, the characters getting in trouble, and the fighting and stuff like that. There's not really kind of like, well, what's the history of Eyes, or what's the whole thing with Ryu and why she is the way she is. But we'll see. It's been a great season so far. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Danmachi Season 4, Part 2, Episodes 1 to 3. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know. Are you anti-Cassandra like I am? Or are you just like, no, because we had that one scene where she woke up from bed and it was great? Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Just if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. I greatly appreciate it, but it does. I know, take care.